All right, this is sort of a bad news, good news story in a way. You'll see how it all comes together here as we wrap it up with attorney Jennifer Hargrave and a conversation about an increase in the number of divorces during the pandemic. Jennifer is joining us live now. She is the owner of Hargrave Family Law. Nice to see you, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us.
Great. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You bet. So let's talk about this first. Is there a correlation between the number of divorce inquiries you're getting and the pandemic as it's proceeded?
Yes, we have definitely seen an uptick in the divorce filings and people calling to inquire about what the divorce process looks like. And I always say, well, I don't think COVID is necessarily causing the divorce. I think it is making it a lot more difficult for people to ignore a broken marriage.
So people who have been in marriages already broken, so the pandemic may not necessarily be breaking marriages, but marriages that were already broken are exacerbated by any number of factors, I would think, the first of which is there's no escaping each other.
That's exactly right. You know, during this period of quarantine, when we've been locked in the house together, it's, you know, people have had to spend a lot of time with each other. And it's easier to avoid an unhealthy marriage when you spend all day apart and you come home and maybe you have children's activities in the evening and you're just not stuck together. As I say, it's really difficult to be confined with the one you can't stand.
And we've got a list of things here that may also account for it. You say extramarital relationships are discovered. Again, related to this idea that you're no longer out of the house, you're home more often. How are these things being discovered?
Well, I think, you know, spouses are wondering why their partner is spending all the time on their cell phone and why suddenly there are password protections on, you know, emails and computer access. And I think when you start to feel that kind of intuition and that question, you start to look for answers, and it is being discovered. I mean, this isn't anything necessarily new for relationships, right? I mean, extramarital affairs definitely happen, but I think the fact that you're in each other's space all the time, it just makes it more likely that if you are carrying on an extramarital affair, you'll probably be discovered.
I said this was sort of a bad news, good news segment. The bad news is you're acknowledging that a relationship really isn't working and you're going through a divorce, which can be very difficult. There's the bad news. The good news is, and you highlight that, and that is a healthy divorce can be a good thing. You're removing from your life conflict and you're moving in a new and better, hopefully better direction. But isn't the key here healthy divorce? Give me some understanding of how you help to facilitate in a situation that might be pretty difficult, something that's healthy.
Absolutely. You know, when clients come to me, they're usually at one of the worst points in their life. They've been living in a broken marriage. They're dealing with conflict all the time, or they're just facing rejection. I mean, when you are married to somebody and they're not wanting to spend time with you and you're not wanting to spend time with them, it is worse than being alone. So a lot of people are just really struggling with making the change. But what we see is that, you know, divorce is a time of transition. There's a beginning and there's an end. It may not feel like it when you're in the middle of it, but, you know, I think you set your intention at the outset and really make it clear what your priorities and your values are, and make this a time to prepare for the beginning of the next chapter. Because when the divorce is over, your life is going to go on. And one of the things I love about my work is getting to see people go on to that next chapter and really flourish and have great, meaningful relationships.
Well, and we should point out, you're in the business of divorce and guiding people through that process, and there are stories out there as well of couples who've been having difficulty, and actually this pandemic has brought them closer together, and maybe they're talking through some of the issues they've ignored for a very long time. So those are stories as well, but we can't deny that number. As you say, the divorce filings are up. Jennifer Hargrave, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. You bet. We only showed that couple fighting in front of the window about 12 times. I hope they work it out. There's your information for Hargrave Family Law if you are in fact in a situation where you feel like you need to seek that as an option in your life. On Facebook at Divorce DFW and HargraveFamilyLaw.com. There you have it, Jenny. How's everything at your house? You
Thanks.
good?
Thanks for the info, Ron. I'm over here just taking notes.
Text Heath and tell him you love him.
Trust me, I will. I know. Yeah, it reminds you of all those things that you've got to do to keep things keep things on the positive